Newry, you're very, very welcome. We're streaming live to you across the planet this morning, the wonders of science. Isn't it marvellous? I have the privilege of being joined in studio today by Donal Donnelly Wood, who's a grandson of Eamon Donnelly, a man of importance in the life of Irish politics of the 20s and onward from there. And the collection of your family memorabilia has been generously donated by your family to Newry Museum, and Noreen Cunningham joins me as well. So I'll start off and ask you, Donal, if I may, who was Eamon Donnelly?
Eamon Donnelly was a founder of the present Fianna Fáil.
A founder or the founder?
A founder.
Yep.
He was among the founders of he was a colleague of De Valera, a colleague of Michael Collins. He initially was active in Armagh, where he organised the 1921 successful election of Collins and De Valera to the new Stormont government, much to the fury of the, I think the shall we say, the authorities.
Yes. What was the provenance of this man, this Newry man, who was so successful?
He was born in Middleton in County Armagh, and I think it was his integrity. His first job was in Newry, was in Armagh Asylum, where he was a stores manager. And after the 1921 election, he was a member of the original Sinn Féin. And after the 1921 election and what he did there, he was given an ultimatum by his employers. You either choose your family a job, or you choose your political beliefs.
So that was a kind of perverse, it was discrimination.
Yes.
He was given no choice.
He was given no choice. And he chose his beliefs. So he was a man of integrity.
Sacked.
Sacked, absolutely. Not only was he sacked, but then the law was changed so that the Northern Ireland authorities could issue an exclusion order, not allowing him to enter any part of Northern Ireland, despite the fact that that's where his home was, that's where his family was.
And was it that act that propelled him, if you like, necessarily, into the Republic of Ireland, where he was part of the foundation of Fianna Fáil?
Yes, I mean, part of that was because of his genius for organising elections. And he became, once Fianna Fáil was established, he became their national director of elections. He had to leave Northern Ireland for a while, but then the family moved to Newry. He was imprisoned in Belfast on at least 2 occasions for daring to come to Newry to his home. He was, I think, just a man of enormous integrity. He really made his home in Newry. He loved it. And if you go to the museum and look at the photographs of his funeral, the whole length of Hill Street, as far as you can see, is absolutely jam-packed with people following his funeral.
He rests in St Mary's, is that
That's right, and there's a monument to him there, and you can see a bust of him on the front of the tomb.
Noreen Cunningham, the curator of our museum at Bagnall's Castle, this came out of the blue to you, did it?
Yes, it's a very long story. I think there was local people involved in the ultimate deposit of the material in Newry Museum. I think there was a man called Tony Carroll.
That's right.
Yes, who had written about Eamon Donnelly. Then Donal Donnelly Wood and his cousin Sean Donnelly came to see myself and the assistant curator, Dr. Ken Abraham. And out of that, we were we said if we get the collection, it will be catalogued and we will use it in exhibitions. So we made a number of promises to Donal, which we have delivered on and will deliver on next
Well,
April.
Donal, did you seek them out, or did they seek you out?
It was a meeting of minds.
It was in your head to do it.
It was in my head for many years that I knew that the collection was important. Initially, Eamon Phoenix from Belfast.
Eamon, yes.
Yeah, he had studied the collection for his PhD thesis, and he advised me that something should be done about it. At that time, there was no Newry Museum, and I was faced with the question: do I give it to the National Archives in Dublin, or do I give it to the Public Records Office in Belfast? And it seemed to me that if I did that, the whole collection would end up in some dusty shelves somewhere and sort of disappear.
I think you've put it in the right home, sir.
I have absolute
Among the
confidence
people
in
who
that.
thronged Hill Street to say their farewell to him.
When I found out that there was now a museum in Newry, I knew that that had to be the place for him, because Eamon Donnelly loved Newry. After his death, he was sadly forgotten.
Yes.
He crops up as a footnote in many histories.
Isn't that amazing? How
and
easily it slips away.
Absolutely. And I am delighted. I can't say how delighted I am that Noreen and Ken have now got the collection, and he will be recognised.
We've talked about the collection, and several moments there we've used the words. What's in the collection, broadly speaking?
Photographs.
Yes.
Letters, including I'm a literary buff, and I was thrilled to find in it letters to my grandfather, handwritten from Maud Gone.
Wow.
And of course, this was at the time she was a McBride, and she was a nationalist. And she, like my grandfather, really hated partition. My mother always said about my grandfather that he was an Ulsterman first and an Irishman second.
Really?
It was his one big difference with Fianna Fáil in the Republic, that they had allowed partition.
Yes.
And to his dying day, he fought that.
So he was a De Valera man then at heart.
He was, but he had this one difference. I mean, he was a close friend and confidant of De Valera's. And one of my proudest moments when I was much younger was I met De Valera after he had retired. Now, there are also wonderful personal touches showing what a father he was. My mother was the eldest of the family, and he and my mother had a close relationship. And there are 2 letters in the collection written from Belfast jail by my grandfather to my mother. Nothing to do with politics, but just a warm, loving father writing to his growing up girl.
My God.
Lovely. There are notes on speeches he gave, both here and in England, various parts of England. There is the original exclusion order served on him, signed by Dawson Bates, who was the Northern Ireland Home Secretary, along with a 3rd-class rail ticket from Gorowood to Dundalk.
Fantastic.
Given to him.
The ticket remains, Gorowood is gone.
I know.
Noreen, it's a big responsibility, because you've put your arms around not only an historic treasure, but the family, the memorabilia of family love, it would seem, as well.
Yes, it's such an honour for us to have the collection in the museum, and we have a number of plans to, use it in future exhibitions, and we're having a big event next April with the launch of the catalogue to the collection. We were very lucky. We recruited a gentleman called Dr. Robert Vaughan, who has catalogued the collection and who is writing an introduction to it, as well as Donal's writing an introduction about the family. So, I mean, it'll be a well-used collection, and it'll be there for local people to use as well.
Donal, your life today, are you away from Ireland? Where are you based?
I live in Newcastle upon Tyne.
Oh, you're blessed. You're a Geordie by adoption.
By adoption, yeah.
Oddly, I had a wonderful relative. Oh, she was Sister Columba of the Sisters of Mercy of Newry, and she went to Alnwick, Bailiff Gate in Alnwick, and she was the headmistress there for years.
I think I knew her because my wife was a head teacher in a Catholic school in Newcastle.
Wow.
In a big girls' school.
Yes.
And I think she had contacts with Alnwick, the school there, and certainly at one stage was invited to join the governors there. But originally, I was ordained as a priest for here in Newry. Yeah.
Come on, that's amazing.
What
a wonderful story.
And that's one of my big regrets, is not that I was ordained a priest, but rather that at a young age, when I was a student, I was so caught up in wanting to be a priest, despite my mother's best efforts to dissuade me, that I didn't listen to my mother about my grandfather.
Yes. I'm observing the fingers of your left hand. It would tell me that another lady was influential upon you.
Absolutely.
In not being a priest.
Well, as happens so often in our church, we fell in love and we went through the proper procedures, and I resigned.
Early days for that sort of thing.
Actually, it was interesting because I just scraped in. I received my what they call laicization, officially from Rome, and my wife and I lost no time then in going and getting married. And while we were on honeymoon, Pope Paul VI, died.
Yes.
Now, it is actually the Pope that issues the thing.
Of course.
And then Pope John Paul I came along, and he didn't live long enough to grant laicizations. And then Pope John Paul II came along, and for the first quite a lot of years of his pontificate, he refused to grant any laicization. So I just scraped in time.
But you, by the look of your eye and the happiness in your face, you're an exemplar for the wisdom of allowing love to grow in a family situation.
My big regret is that the Catholic Church is such that I was forced to make a choice, because
Bit like
I really wanted to be a priest.
Yes.
But I have absolutely no regrets about the choice I made.
No, of course not. Bit like your grandfather in Armagh.
Exactly.
Family or your job.
Integrity.
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 The integrity has come down.
I hope so. I'd love to think that I had his integrity.
I see it in you. I do. And I've just met you. So Donnelly Wood, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
It's a great pleasure.
Noreen Cunningham, thank you. Perhaps you'll be kind enough to invite us up to the museum so that we may film the collection.
Definitely.
That would be wonderful.
And thank you, Rowan.
Not at all. Namaste. Go well. Take care. Some music, my brother.